to glorify you, Jesus. Magnify you, Lord. You're worthy of the glory, Lord.
Kingdom of heaven is at hand. Last week we concluded with the fact that your prayer of faith ain't big enough if the only thing that it satisfies is you or just your family. So today we'll begin looking at the prayer of a servant, because when you are praying for only things for you and your family, that is exactly the mentality that you're having, is the prayer of a servant. And in that, those are things that we have to realize, is that once he's given us things that he wants us to pursue, because the things that you have a desire for, it's not always that they're bad things. The issue is that you're usually only seeking enough for you. And the covenant that's set up that we're to be a part of, he said he wants to bless us so that we can be a blessing, so that all families of the earth are blessed. So if all you're asking for is for you and yours, then you're already asking for something outside of the covenant, and that's why you hadn't got it yet. Because your only focus is only on you. And in that, that's one of the things we've got to realize is see, one of the most difficult struggles that you as a Christian will experience is being a servant and then going from a servant to a child of God. Because being a servant, for the most part, is really easy. Because all you got to do is exactly what you're told. You say, but sometimes we get told stuff that I don't want to do. Yes, but that's the only thing you have to override, is your feeling to not want to do it. Not have to make another decision, not have to make another call on another shift or another change or anything else. All you've got to do is decide to get over your feelings about doing what you were told to do. Now, as you start to get into the place to where you grow from a child and then become an adult, then it's going to require you to make some decisions. And then you're going to wish you were back a child and didn't have to make those decisions. That's why you've got to understand that the process that I'm taking you through in this, because once again, the whole entirety of our series is serving God in a kingdom of mammon. So that is a part of you being a servant, but the way that you're going to be able to overcome the kingdom of mammon as you walk through it is knowing that you're a child as you do it, that is serving him in the entire process. That's going to be a whole key as we start to look at this, because I want to start out in Nehemiah chapter 1. We're going to look at verses 6 through 11, because I want you to see some of the mentality of a servant. That's what we're basically going to focus on today, because I got to help you identify where you're actually cutting yourself short. And that's a crucial piece of information, because see, the reason some of you have been so disappointed is because you know you've been calling on a God of all power that can change your situation, but you've yet to figure out why he hasn't changed it. And you're not understanding that you're the one that's hindering him by the mentality of what you're asking him and the way that you're asking him. And that's why I'm dealing with all these types of prayers. That's why I told y'all, when my dad was sick with cancer, I told y'all all my prayer was, don't let him die. All I was worried about was me. I wasn't thinking about his suffering. I wasn't thinking about anybody else and what all of they were having to deal with in order to care for him or anything. Only thing that was on my mind was I just don't want him to go. Because even while he was in a position to where he couldn't move a lot and he couldn't do a lot of things, he still explained a lot of stuff to me. So that was a resource of information for me, and I didn't know what I was going to do when he was no longer able to be there for me. So I kept asking, don't let him die. And he went through a series of sufferings because my prayer got answered. He didn't die, but he was suffering. And see, the whole point that you got to understand is sometimes that's all you're asking for is just to exist. That's all that's on your mind, is just to exist, kind of like it is. And I want you to see something in Nehemiah chapter 1, verses 6 through 11. Nehemiah chapter 1, verses 6 through 11 says this. Let thine ear now be attentive, and thine eyes open, that thou mayest hear the prayer of thy servant, which I pray before thee now, day and night, for the children of Israel, thy servants, and confess the sins of the children of Israel, which we have sinned against thee. Both I and my father's house have sinned. We have dealt very corruptly against thee, and have not kept the commandments, nor the statutes, nor the judgments, which thou commandest thy servant Moses. Remember, I beseech thee, the word that thou commandest thy servant Moses, saying, if you transgress, I will scatter you abroad among the nations. But if you turn unto me and keep my commandments and do them, though there were of you cast out unto the uttermost part of the heaven, yet will I gather them from thence, and will bring them unto the place which I have chosen to set my name there. Now these are thy servants and thy people, whom thou hast redeemed by thy great power and by thy strong hand. O Lord, I beseech thee, let now thine ear be attentive to the prayer of thy servant, and of the prayer of thy servants, who desire to fear thy name, and what? And prosper, I pray thee, thy servant this day, and grant him mercy in the sight of this man, for I was the king's cupbearer. What you have to understand about a cupbearer is that is not the most wanted job of anybody. What a cupbearer was to do was a cupbearer was supposed to take the first drink out of the king's cup to make sure that somebody didn't poison it. Not the most desirable job. So the key is if the king saw you drink it and you stayed living, it was okay. But if the king saw you drink it and you kick over, then not only did he not drink it, but he also knew, watch this, who else he needed to get rid of. Because he know who brought it. See, and that's why you don't need to fool with stuff that somebody else let go. because they let it go for a reason. And see, that's why when the servant hears